If you believe your own daily life is difficult, simply consider the wretched existence of this circus clown. Stripped of all dignity, the crowd merely calls him the Hunchback. He lacks even a proper name, treated as something entirely less than human. Secretly, he harbors deep feelings for the stunning acrobat, Lorelei, though his infatuation is also somewhat scientific. Captivated by human biology, he relies on medical studies to escape his miserable reality. Armed with vast medical insights pieced together from stolen textbooks, this brilliant outcast quietly serves as the troupe's unofficial physician. Disaster strikes the circus one evening, just after Barnaby unveils the breathtaking Lorelei to the crowd. Suddenly, a suspended rope violently snaps, sending the acrobat plummeting to the ground. The terrified Hunchback instantly sprints to her side. Luckily, a physician rushes from the stands, diagnosing that a shattered bone is fatally puncturing her lungs. Without instruments, the doctor is utterly helpless. Acting on pure instinct, the deformed clown grabs the man's pocket watch and, with shocking precision, brilliantly resets the crushing bone, saving her life. Astonished by such raw genius, the young doctor declares this man is absolutely no clown, while hastily reassuring the horrified spectators that the brutal fall was merely part of the performance. Watching closely, Barnaby glares at the men. He seethes with anger when the visiting physician insists his clown is wasting his potential and must abandon the circus. As Lorelei is swiftly carried away on a makeshift stretcher, the desperate Hunchback asks for his savior's name. The second the doctor exits, a vicious Barnaby hurls the clown's precious medical texts into a muddy puddle. The ringmaster is enraged by his captive's audacity to dream of a better life. He violently locks the broken man inside his grim quarters, a filthy iron cage. When the poor soul timidly asks if Lorelei survived, the ruthless ringmaster takes immense pleasure in brutally mocking his pure love. Moments later, Victor sneaks back, bringing some unexpected magic of his own. Using a powerful magnet, he cracks the iron padlock while the terrified clown frantically whispers they will face severe punishment. Right on cue, a murderous Barnaby appears, screaming violent threats at the doctor for attempting to steal his circus property. Refusing to yield, Victor boldly sets the canvas tent ablaze. Sprinting into the arena, the fleeing duo is instantly surrounded. However, by the time Barnaby pushes through the chaos, they have completely vanished. Highly observant, the brilliant clown saw through the illusionist's usual stage tricks, cleverly guiding his bold new friend down a hidden magician's escape tunnel. Now deeply terrified, the freed captive shivers, and not just because he is wandering the dark London streets alone with Victor Frankenstein at midnight. Though eternally grateful for his sudden liberation, he quietly confesses he has no idea how to survive in the outside world. Without hesitation, Victor brings the outcast to his estate. He needs a skilled medical assistant, and this tragic genius is pre-trained and incredibly cheap, an absolute dream for any employer. Without warning, Victor grabs his unsuspecting guest and violently shoves a massive needle directly into his deformed back, draining an abscess left untreated for 18 agonizing years. The horrific procedure is shockingly disgusting, yet the massive hump deflates within mere seconds. The breathless former Hunchback almost misses Barnaby's cruelty when his unhinged boss charges forward, brutally slamming him against a stone pillar. With a sickening crunch, his twisted posture is violently forced straight, though he must endure a torturous back brace to maintain his aligned spine. Pointing toward a guest room, Victor announces he will be working in the dark basement until dawn. Pausing before vanishing, Victor mentions his absent roommate, Igor Straussman, a morphine addict who is never around. Realizing a perfectly good identity shouldn't go to waste, Victor declares the clown's new name is Igor. Now, if authorities come knocking, their alibi will be as straight as his newly healed torso. Now living as Igor, he must quickly learn the rigid rules of basic hygiene and high society, proving to be an exceptionally eager student. Meanwhile, at the scorched circus grounds, the fiercely devout Inspector Turpin investigates the crime scene alongside his loyal apprentice, Alistair. Analyzing Barnaby's exaggerated testimony, Turpin easily senses the ringmaster's blatant lies. Surmising the missing details, the sharp detective suspects the bloody escape was simply self-defense. Regardless, a stubborn Turpin immediately orders a menacing wanted poster demanding the fugitive's arrest for murder. Since his host is attending medical lectures until dusk, Igor explores the streets of London, eventually visiting the grim hospital to check on his beloved Lorelei. He is utterly appalled by the horrifying conditions the vulnerable patients endure. The cynical nurse laughs when Igor casually lists an expensive, advanced pharmaceutical treatment for the acrobat's injuries. Her mocking smile fades instantly when he smoothly slides a heavy coin into her palm. Meanwhile, the relentless Inspector Turpin is rapidly closing in on Dr. Frankenstein. Digging through cold cases, he discovers stolen animal organs vanished from the London Zoo 6 months prior, matching a bizarre theft at the Veterinary Academy. Ordering Alistair to open a sack recovered from the circus, they uncover a severed lion's paw. Realizing Victor was hunting exotic parts, Turpin understands exactly why the madman visited the circus that night. Victor finds Igor weeping because their wanted posters are plastered across town. Over dinner, he patiently teaches him dining etiquette while revealing his dark past. Later, he unveils severed eyes floating in fluid, wired to bizarre electrical machinery. A jolt of electricity makes the dead eyes blink. Fascinated, Igor humbly points out a few anatomical corrections. Beaming with delight, Victor could not be prouder of his assistant. Thus, their unholy partnership begins. Locked in the laboratory, the duo successfully reanimates various grotesque organs. Weeks later, following a monumental breakthrough, Victor takes Igor to an upscale restaurant to celebrate. To his shock, Igor spots a fully healed Lorelei. Initially struggling to recognize the well-dressed man, the acrobat is overjoyed to reunite with her gentle friend. Consumed by arrogance and liquor, Victor reveals his most horrifying secret project. Gordon. Stitched together from stolen animal corpses, Gordon is a monstrous chimpanzee mosaic heavily relying on Igor's brilliant theories. Breakthroughs the madman has no intention of properly crediting to his assistant. Victor successfully reanimates the terrifying abomination, proudly presenting his unholy creation to the prestigious Royal College. Sneering from the audience is Finnegan, an arrogant college rival eagerly waiting for the demonstration to fail. Lorelei also attends at Igor's invitation, but the grisly spectacle leaves her feeling physically nauseated. When the creature suddenly flatlines, Victor throws a violently childish tantrum, brutally kicking the machinery. This reckless outburst triggers a massive electrical surge, aggressively jolting Gordon back from the dead. Furious at being disturbed, the berserk ape viciously attacks the terrified crowd before breaking loose. Risking his own life, a frantic Igor bravely chases the rampaging beast across campus. Once the monstrous chimpanzee is pinned down, Victor is forced to follow Igor's desperate advice, permanently terminating his pet project with a devastatingly heavy iron tool. Following this absolute bloodbath, Igor prays his reckless friend will finally regain his sanity. Instead, Victor becomes maniacally obsessed with cementing his dark legacy. Adding insult to Igor's injuries, the wealthy Finnegan unexpectedly arrives, smugly apologizing for ever doubting his brilliant rival. Deeply fascinated by their necrotic triumph, the arrogant aristocrat enthusiastically offers virtually unlimited funding to replicate this terrifying madness. Salivating at the promise of endless wealth, Victor foolishly guarantees to resurrect a fully functioning, monstrous human being. Igor desperately pleads with the arrogant lunatic to stop, but Victor ruthlessly threatens to throw him right back into a circus cage to endlessly rot in the dirt. Following an investigation of the Royal College incident, Inspector Turpin personally confronts Victor. Their tense interrogation devolves into a fiercely heated theological debate. Overflowing with arrogance, Victor cruelly mocks the devout detective's faith, instantly forging a dangerous enemy. Seeking solace, Igor shares a quiet stroll with Lorelei, discussing the terrifying implications of Gordon. She begs Igor to convince Victor to abandon this demonic science forever. Igor silently agrees, terrified by the escalating madness, yet feels a crushing debt of loyalty to his savior. Gently holding his hands, Lorelei insists he owes Victor nothing, reminding Igor he was already a brilliantly kind, intelligent soul long before the Mad Doctor ever found him. Returning to the mansion, Igor discovers another Frankenstein present. Victor's stern father arrives bearing devastating news. His son is expelled from the Royal College. Overflowing with bitter disappointment, the patriarch deliberately mentions his deceased younger son, Henry. For decades, a traumatized Victor carried agonizing guilt regarding the childhood accident that claimed his brother's life. His father painfully clarifies that while nobody blamed Victor for Henry's death, the madman has now managed to destroy his own future. Hidden in the shadows, Igor eavesdrops, witnessing just how profoundly the cruel paternal rejection shatters his arrogant friend. Overcome with pity for the only man who treated him like a human rather than a stage prop, Igor abandons his promise to Lorelei, doing the exact opposite of their plan. He ignites a conversation regarding the terrifying Prometheus project, where only godless science can pull Victor from despair. Igor theorizes that a standard human subject is too fragile to survive the massive electrical surge, suggesting they construct an oversized corpse powered by 2 beating hearts. Naturally, this catastrophic concept is exactly the unhinged lunacy Victor cannot resist. instantly springing the madman back to his obsessive self. The friends begin assembling Finnegan's monstrous abomination, harvesting rotting flesh pillaged from graveyards and morgues. One afternoon, Victor solemnly gazes at the exact pocket watch used to save Lorelei. Voice cracking, he reveals the heirloom belonged to his younger brother, Henry. The boys were tragically trapped within a blinding blizzard, and little Henry froze to death. Hearing this heartbreaking truth, Igor feels shame for doubting Victor's innocence, having previously envisioned a far more sinister cause behind the childhood accident. Seeking escape, Igor takes the evening off to go dancing with Lorelei. She finally invites him for a closer look at her acrobatic talents, and they passionately spend the night together. His morning stroll takes a dramatic turn when he spots an angry mob outside Victor's mansion, led by Turpin. As policemen violently batter the door, a panicked Igor sneaks through the rear entrance to scream a warning. The frantic duo attempts to destroy their damning evidence, but Turpin violently smashes inside. In the brutal struggle, Victor overpowers the inspector, mangling Turpin's hand within the machinery. Desperate, Igor and Victor sprint down a dark, secret passageway, finding a carriage perfectly waiting for them. Turpin stumbles outside just in time to watch them leaving. The carriage was sent by Finnegan, who remains unfazed by their legal troubles. Mentioning his family's remote castle in Scotland, the aristocrat offers it as a shelter to his criminal associates. But Igor stubbornly refuses to go. Furious, Victor throws a fit, screaming the most hurtful insults and viciously claiming full credit for everything good about Igor. The second Victor leaves, Igor is brutally ambushed by Finnegan's ruthless goons. They violently tie him up and shove a heavy bag over his head. Since Finnegan only cares about the resurrection technology and the power attached to it, the awkward little assistant with a conscience is of no use to him. His goons toss Igor into the river. But here's where they underestimate the survival skills you learn growing up in a circus. With immense effort, Igor violently breaks free, quickly swimming to the surface. Lorelei takes care of him until he's fully recovered. Noticing that he has Victor's pocket watch, Igor feels bad for him. Finally realizing that being his friend doesn't mean blindly enabling his dark obsessions, he decides to go after him and can't talk Lorelei out of coming along. In Scotland, they find the castle heavily guarded. Lorelei distracts the sentries while Igor slips past them. Right outside the gates, she is startled by Turpin's voice. The detective confesses he lost his job after failing to secure that warrant. This humiliation only made him determined to crush whatever satanic ghoul Victor Frankenstein might have inside the castle. Finnegan is helping Victor hoist the cage where Prometheus lies lifeless. Pushing through the storm, both Igor and Turpin breach the stone tower right before the monstrous body is struck by a blinding bolt of lightning. After a brief moment of tension, Victor and Finnegan proudly watch their baby breathing. Their joy is short-lived. While Turpin screams Bible verses, threatening to fire against the creature, the terrifying storm worsens. The stone tower itself is struck by lightning, triggering a massive explosion. A screaming Finnegan goes down alongside chunks of Victor's equipment while the laboratory erupts into roaring flames. Still fighting, Victor and Turpin entirely fail to notice the cage is empty until a horrified Igor screams, desperately pointing at a towering Prometheus. Victor's excitement to embrace his firstborn soon turns into despair when he realizes the truth. He's looking at an assortment of stitched organs and tissue incapable of interacting with a person. As Turpin keeps shooting, the creature casually tosses his dad over the edge and comes for the inspector, who finally has the pleasure to meet his maker. Igor gets the lore mixed up with Dracula and grabs a stake, but slamming it ends up working just fine. Victor has to remind him of the second hidden heart, and he takes care of it. When our hero wakes up, he has the beautiful Lorelei by his side. She gives him a letter from Victor, which is pretty much a very long apology. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more incredible movie stories like this. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.